is our lives such a hard exchange to give back to the one who gave it to us in the first place? When someone gives us something really nice, do we just ignore it, or do we remember it and do something back? Like, somebody gets you a guitar or an iPod for Christmas or your birthday, and then next Christmas rolls around, you go, that person gave me something really nice. I should give them something better than a pair of socks, But remember when something does something nice for us, and sometimes we seem to forget that God gave us life, and the least we can do is just spend some time with Him. So, yeah. And as Bill Cosby says, I can take you into this world, and I can take you out. So basically, if you're very, very selfish, and you want to stay on earth as long as you can, my advice is get good with God, so that He'll keep you here. So it's kind of selfish, but that works. Because He's the one who can take you off in a second. So, anyways. And God says, prophesy, and then they start breathing again. And I already said that. So then after they're alive and they're breathing, then God calls them an army. So He can change dry bones, skeletons, people who look like they're not really going to do anything for God, people that look like, oh, they're just so far out there, they're never going to get God. He can turn those into people that are an army that are radically on fire for Him and stuff. So, that's what, we were those dry bones before we met God. So we just need to get that, because, that's where we came from, and that's where we need to bring others up from and stuff. That's a great commission, to just go out and pick up those dry bones and fix them and breathe life into them. Because, and speaking of the Great Commission, talking about missionary stuff, and something about missionary things that God told me to do, but that before you can go out to be a missionary, you have to work here to be a missionary. So, like, if you're called to be a missionary, He's not going to send you out there before He knows you can handle preaching in your own schools. I mean, I want to go to Africa and preach to people, but how many people have you touched in your school? I mean, He's prepared you right where your situation you're at now to preach there before He's going to do anything else. So you got to work with what God gives you before you can move on. Yeah, because you do that before you can just move on. You can't just say, oh, that's a good idea. I'm going to put this in the box, and I'm just going to do something else that I like, because I don't really like that idea. This doesn't really work with God. He's just going to keep bringing it back up until you finally say, okay. Yeah, so, and again, back to Ezekiel, to prophesy to your friends, and don't just ask him once and say, can you come to church with me? No. Don't just give up on that person. You got to keep going back to them, and you got to keep praying for them. And so, I mean, a lot of people at my school I haven't approached yet because I've been praying about it, and God says, no, it's not time to approach that person yet. So I just keep praying, and I say, when can I invite them to church? But, I got Kyle to come to church because I waited until God said, okay. And then he said, okay, and he came. And he stopped, but I'm going to keep praying for him. And, yeah, and I think, again, spending time in prayer is very important. I mean, I go to the prayer rooms as much as I can, which is basically once a week, but I get really discouraged because there's a bunch of older people there. And it's like, okay, we were fired up about an all-night prayer, woohoo, but we don't come for 2 hours. I mean, I saw Cody there once, I saw Summer there once, I saw you there once. So I saw, you guys once, and you came because there was an earthquake. That was the day of the earthquake. Okay, anyways. Okay. Yeah, so, and then, the older people, they're like, oh, such a blessing you came, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just disappointed, because there's how many of us, and only one came that night, and I don't want them to be just excited that one person that was young came. I want them to be excited that 15 or something came, because we really need that time with God. And, if you can't make it yourself, you could just ask your parents, say, I really want to go to church. And they'll probably be like, it's just church, they'll be like, you can go, because they're not really going to keep you from God.